Hello, everybody. Just waiting for one person to pop on and then I'll begin. You know the drill, right? We need suggestions for filling this dead air time. I'm always open for suggestions. There's one. I'm not quite sure who it is, but once there's one that pops on, I will begin. So, here we go. Let's officially begin with good Thursday morning to you all. The moment has arrived for us to get our fingers inky and sticky, and we are going to stamp today with the Splendid Day Suite Collection, specifically the Splendid Thoughts bundle. So I'm happy that you guys are here or will be coming here to watch a replay for this class, or don't forget, because this is the big fun class of the month where we really take a deep dive into the suite and all its yummy little bits and pieces. We will be doing this exact same class tomorrow night on Zoom. So let me just really recap that Zoom number. It's always the same, 901-771-5257. And the password is all caps ink spots. Okay, so in all caps, you're going to type in ink spots. Hello, Marcia. It's great to have you here. And I know there's somebody watching, but it hasn't popped up who it was. So say hello so that I know you're here, and we will begin. So I'm going to flip my camera, and we're going to begin with some business as always, and then we will dive into today's projects. So here comes the hand, and let's spin the camera here a bit. There's my ceiling, and here we go. Okay, so coming up next week, we will be upstyling our paper pumpkin kits. That will be on my public page, Seeing Ink Spots, 10 o'clock on the 4th. Bring your kit, and I'll have a list of a few extra items that you will need, some cardstocks, and find some ribbons and accessories that you think match well with that kit, and you'll do fine to stamp along. And then the week after, on August 11th, I'm looking forward to this class a lot. So this Use It Up class, which if you received this month's kit and you spent $75, you received this kit as well. And this is a fun kit. We are featuring the Tea Boutique papers. We're going to use those up, what little bits I have, and I'm going to pair it with this Full of Love stamp set. So you're going to be looking for, if you don't have something like this, find something, or you don't have this, find something like this. And you'll do just fine. So I'm using this one, and let me show you why. Can you see in that Tea Boutique paper how they've stuffed the envelope with flowers? It just led me to this one. So look for an open line image that you think might pair well with the Tea Boutique paper, and you'll be in business. Full of Love. This is in the annual catalog, so I'll be using that one. Okay. Set that aside. That's Use It Up. Okay. Let's see. It's a thick piece of paper. And the week after that is my pickup class. Now, this is a technique time class, but this is bring your own supplies technique time. And this is what I call a pickup class. And if you guys don't know what a pickup class is, a lot of times dancers will pick up a class during the week when they feel like they just need another dance class. And I'm sure other artists will do the same, but it's a very common term in the dance world. So the pickup class is going to feature the Trees for Sale stamp set and the tree lot dies that you can get with a $100 purchase during celebration. This is a fantastic little duo of goodies there. So we'll be doing some stamping, whether it's some Christmas stamping or just all season. All right. And then our big class, which is not a class, it is a stamp camp for August. We see the return of Studio Ink Spots, and that will be August 19th is our game night and demonstration. And then prizes will go out with kits and packets and all the swag the very next day for our intensive, which will be the 25th through the 27th. There will be 4 workshops, 3 more presentations, and all kinds of stamping and different activities to fill those 3 days that you'll have a good time. We are going to feature the Ringed with Love stamp set, or the bundle rather, and all kinds of stuff in the annual catalog and in the July-December catalog. This is going to be fun. I've been working with this bundle, and wow, is it pretty. It's just fun to work with. It's so different. And it's just different from anything I've ever purchased. So I'm really enjoying this. Sign up. The sign-ups end August 12th. So don't forget to sign up. There are still spaces left for you. All right. Let's move right along to today's feature. Today, we are featuring the Splendid Thoughts stamp set and the Splendid stem dies, so we'll dive into those. But I want to talk about this just a little bit, this stamp set. And if you have your catalog, I don't remember which page this is on, but it's towards the back. And this is the first time a non-holiday, meaning Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's, it's just an all-season type stamp set has been included in the holiday catalog. And I want to talk a little bit about this one. This stamp bundle was featured at a Stampin' Up! Online event called Creativity Now. And I attended that event, and it was good fun to learn more about this stamp set and to stamp with it. It was all about stamping, no business. And they interviewed the designer of this suite. Her name is Rachel, and she said a couple things to know about this stamp set. She said this is a monoline design combined with some watercolor. So these are the monoline images she's referring to, these 3 right here. And the watercolor images are to kind of abstractly fill in these and make different designs. So what she means by monoline is this is line art. Okay, I get that. But she says it's one continual line art of the same thickness. I like learning those little tidbits about things, and I so appreciated her sharing that. She also shared that the designer series paper, which she also designed, because the designers designed the whole thing, the whole collection. And she said originally it was going to be designed pages with gold foil on it. And then she decided to change it and did a first for Stampin' Up! And that was she did multicolored foil papers with white embossing. So, and that's never been done. So we have fresh freesia in foil, there's a copper foil, a gold foil, but there's soft seafoam and there's Sahara sand. And so it's just kind of a nice fun mixture to see our core color in foil. So that's a first. So, and then they also designed a very soft ribbon that would complement the suite. So thought you might like to know those little bits of information about this fun stamp set. I like learning that. I think it's really, really cool. Okay, on with the show. This is it. Grab your packet, and we're going to start different than what we normally do. What I'd like you to do is take out from the back. Yours doesn't have, I don't think your ribbon's wrapped around that, but mine was. Because I've taken this out and kind of played with it just a little bit. But let's take out the designer series paper and look at this gorgeous foil. So there's the seafoam. And a little tidbit, if you look at it, it just looks like the leaves from the set. By the way, all these leaves are based on eucalyptus, okay? So that was her focus. But every now and again, you might find a hidden little treasure. She has tucked ladybugs into this piece here and there, okay? Here's the copper and the freesia, Sahara, and a gold. And I feel like I'm missing a piece. probably. I'll have to steal it from my other kit here. But what I want to do is we're going to take this piece here, okay? We're also going to take this piece, and we're going to take this piece, okay? So it might help if we look at the backs of these, okay? Oh, there's the other piece. There's the Sahara. I knew it wasn't hiding too far. So these are the three pieces we're going to start with, and we're going to do some chopping. So this one that is, it's copper foil with the white kind of elongated leaves. Flip that over. It's Calypso Coral on the back. We're looking for that one, okay? We're looking for the soft seafoam with the hidden ladybug that has Pool Party Eucalyptus on the back. And then this one here is a soft seafoam on the back of the Sahara sand, okay? All right, so these are the three pieces we're going to work with. We're going to cut these first. And so let's start with this one here, okay? So this is the one that has seafoam on the back. Make sure you have the one that has seafoam on the back. I'm going to bring this up close so you can see it for a second here. And here is the front, okay? The first thing we are going to do is we're going to chop the top of this off at 1 3/4, okay? So let me bring my trimmer in here so you can see the numbers. There's 1 3/4, okay? I'm gonna go slow. 1 3/4, and you're gonna drag that across, okay? Now, save this piece. We'll be using it for sure. We're gonna use all these pieces, but we're not gonna cut any more of that. We're gonna turn this one back to where it's upright, and we are going to take off 1 1/8 inch, okay? So 1 1/8, and you can take it off from either side. So you decide. I actually think I'm gonna take it off from this side just because I like this design right in here, okay? So I'm gonna take off 1 1/8. It doesn't matter which side, just take off 1 1/8. And I'm gonna double check, there it is, 1 1/8. Okay, now this is gonna be for card number 3. So set that aside. We'll use it in a while. Keep this one handy. We're going to be cutting from that. Now let's go to the soft seafoam piece. Reminder, the back of this has Pool Party leaves. So this soft seafoam, we're going to cut this twice. We're going to cut it at 1 1/8. Okay? And we're going to cut it again at 1 1/8. Okay, so now this piece is ready to be die cut and do all the fun things we're going to do with it. So set those aside so you know where they are. And the last piece that we're going to do some die cutting, not die cutting, just paper trimming, is this one that has the Calypso Coral on the back, okay? And I'm going to take off the top section here, and I'm going to take off 1 1/2 inches, okay? So give yourself 1 1/2 inches, okay? Save this. Whoops. I don't think we're cutting into that. We're just going to be using this piece here. I wanted to kind of save it so you had maximum leftover pieces that you could make some pretty things. Okay, so this piece here, we are going to use this for our very first project for today. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of bring in the rest of my packet here. And as always, I'm just going to kind of let the little embellishments and thread, that's going to hang off in the bag so I know where they are and I can find them later. And if you grab your stack here, we're going to grab from soft seafoam up, okay? Go from soft seafoam up. So that's going to give you a card base, okay, of soft seafoam. And that is a half of a sheet. It's hamburger, so it's 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. And this is a piece we're going to be stamping on and die cutting, okay? And then you have 2 stitched rectangles. So those are the pieces we are going to need. So let's open up your dies, okay? And here are mine. And this fun little die, we're going to be using all of these dies. But that die there, we are going to die cut this piece twice using this same die. So you're going to cut 2 of those, okay? And we're going to be doing a lot at the Big Shot here. We're going to be, of the stitched rectangles here, grab the smaller of the two, and we're going to emboss that, okay? So any embossing folder is going to work. I chose the Hive 3D because it is, we have that hidden bee here and there in the papers, and we're going to be using the bee. So it just kind of made sense. So we're going to emboss that and save this. This will be part of our layout, as well as the green, but we need to do some stamping here as well. So we're gonna stamp and we're going to die cut this piece, okay? And we're gonna try and keep it pretty tight because we have a lot to fit in here, okay? So stamping wise, let's start with our largest image. And this is a nice big elongated eucalyptus style image here, okay? I will say, having moved to Idaho, my mom always says, but I wouldn't want to, I'd miss the palm trees. Okay, so you miss the palm trees, but you know what else? You miss the oak, you miss the eucalyptus, I miss the olive. There's a lot of trees that are in California that are not here in Idaho, okay? So here's my first image, okay? That is in soft seafoam. And the next image I want to do is the silver dollar shaped eucalyptus. And I'm going to stamp that in Blushing Bride. Okay. So this is Blushing Bride. You could also use Petal Pink if you wanted. And we're going to stamp 2 of these. Okay. So I'm going to go a 1 and sneak this in here. Right like that. 2, okay, I got a little close. I could have pulled this down further. All right, then I'm gonna use the 2 watercolor images. Now these watercolor images are abstract. They don't necessarily fill this in perfectly, okay? It's intended to be artistic and fun. But what I'm gonna do is I am gonna stamp them off. So on a piece of scratch paper here, I'm going to ink up with my Blushing Bride again. This is the kind of the 4-leaf, and I'm going to stamp that off, and I'm going to add some color to the leaves. And if I want to add just a little bit more, it's okay. It's intended to go outside of the lines, maybe a little bit more like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this second one right here. Sorry, that was a little out of view for you guys. Okay, so stamp off first, okay? And then add some color in there, ink it up, stamp it off, and maybe just a little bit more. So what I have done is added color here and there. It's not intended to fill in everything. This is exactly what Rachel, the Stampin' Up! Designer, was talking about in her interview. She was giving us more details, and that was her idea behind this, okay? All right, I'm gonna set that stamp aside, as well as the 2 big guys, the line images. And now I'm gonna bring in the watercolor image for the other leaf, okay? This one, okay, this is soft seafoam. And I'm gonna stamp that off as well. And I'm just going to kind of land that in there to where I have some color here and there and a little bit everywhere, okay? So now with these 3 pieces here, we're not quite done stamping. We're gonna switch colors and we're gonna go to Fresh Freesia and stamp at least 1 bee. You don't need, you know, a bazillion, but if you want a second one, stamp a couple, but tuck them into these down low spaces because we're gonna use this space to do some die cutting. Okay, so stamp the bee, and I'm just going to stamp 1 right there. Like I say, you only need 1, but if you want to sneak another one somewhere, you can. And that was Fresh Freesia, okay? Fresh Freesia. Okay, just closing up my ink pads. All right, so now these are all going to get die cut. Excuse me. So let me go to my die cuts here to fish those out. Okay, so we have that one that we're gonna be cutting. Bazillion bees. Oh, you're so cute. We're gonna sneak this one on there as well. Okay. And here's the die for the silver dollar eucalyptus. And there's the bee die, okay? So what you're gonna do is line these all up, right? Okay. And then wiggle this one in. Find that spot where you can fit it. Okay, I might have to twist this around a little bit, but you can get it in there. There it is, it fits right in there. I might not be able to cut these both at the exact same time. Okay, and go ahead and die cut those, and don't forget to die cut 2 of these and to emboss this one, okay? So, lots to be done. That bee die is so tiny, easy to lose. Yes, it is a little one. And when you say easy to lose, so my dad has bought me several of these magnetic dishes. You can find them at Harbor Freight. And that is a great way to hold on to those tiny little dies. It's just kind of a nice way to, I throw them all in that little dish as I'm working with that particular set. And then they, you know, it's a super magnet, and so they just kind of grab it. Okay, I'm gonna emboss first, but I want to remind you to always run your folder through with the seam edge, you know, that folded edge goes through first, okay? So I'm embossing that smaller rectangle, okay? That is done. Okay. And you know, any neutral pattern would work for this card. Again, I just kind of like the hive. It felt like it fit the theme of our little bee in there. So now I'm switching my plates so that I can die cut 2 of these fun little, you know, loopy, leafy dies. That one right there. And this is, as a reminder, this is the backside is Calypso, and this is the copper foil. And so if you're joined on later, we did all of our trimming of some of our papers ahead of time so that we have them handy to be able to die cut with them. Okay, there's my first one. Okay, look how pretty this is. Nice and lacy. And that is in copper foil. It's going to be part of our composition. And then this side right here, you're just going to die cut one more time. Okay. Around this goes. All right, there's my second one. And since this is a Facebook Live, I have the rest of my pieces already die cut ahead of time, okay? So this sheet here, I have them done for us already, or we'd be sitting here a very, very long time waiting for me to die cut everything, okay? So let me see, I'm gonna bring these pieces in. Look how fast I am, woohoo! There it is, there's my bee. Let me get, I have 3 bees flying around here. Okay, and this is the one I want. It's not painted yet. Okay, all right, so these are our elements that we're going to be using on our card here, okay? And you're gonna need Wink of Stella, of course. We're gonna move a little bit of the paint around with Wink of Stella. And you're gonna need one more piece of Designer Series paper, okay? The piece you're going to need is the one that is the Fresh Freesia, okay? This is the Fresh Freesia foil. It looks great with Fresh Freesia. It looks great with soft seafoam, but it also really looks good with Blushing Bride, okay? All right, there is the back of that. So if you're wondering which one you're looking for, okay? So we are going to trim this one down. I believe it's going to be 3 3/4. Nope. 4 3/4. Wow, was I off? Okay, so this piece we're going to trim down to 4 3/4. So let me just kind of cover that up for a couple seconds here. So 4 3/4. All right. Save that. Use it in another design of your own somewhere. Okay. All right. Now we can start to assemble this pretty little layout as our first jump into all of this cool stuff. Okay, I want to share with you something really, really, really important. When working with this foil, thumbprints, fingerprints are, we're gonna wanna try and avoid them, okay? It's, we're gonna have them, but try to avoid them. And have like maybe a paper towel or a rag on hand to kind of buff those off. It's kind of like touching, when you have glossy photos, same thing. The other thing that's really important, if you use the green cap glue on the back of this, you will have that, whatever line you draw with that, it will show through to the front. So I'm just gonna tell you now, please use a tape runner. It's gonna make a huge difference in how you apply this foil, okay? The liquid glue just shows through, okay? It's like really bad panty lines. All right, kind of sad analogy, but okay. So I am just gonna give myself an even border on top and bottom and from side to side, okay? You could cover the whole thing, but I wanted some of this, shoot, Queen, I forgot to stamp. I wanted some of this green to show. Okay, all right, we're gonna just stamp a different way. Okay, so I had stamped originally, I had stamped this image in the corners, but since I can't reach that image in there, we're gonna use this one, okay? It'll show a little bit more. All right, but don't pull your paper off. If that were cardstock, I could get it off, but it is on there. So I am going to use some soft seafoam in here. And I had just stamped my corners a little bit, okay? Just giving this green a little bit of extra pizzazz, okay? So let's just give a little bit of there, okay? Maybe come in, overlap it just a little bit. And we'll do the same thing, but I'm gonna rotate my stamp so it's not the same exact way. Just give a little stamping right there, okay? Bummer that I didn't do the right thing, but that's okay. I'll show you the difference. Maybe you saw the pictures up. I put them up on the private page. So anyhow, there you go. So that's the start of that. Now this layer here and this layer, okay? Before we put these together, we're going to take our soft seafoam ribbon. So bring that in. We're gonna need that. And we're gonna need our linen thread. Okay. So our linen thread, we are going to grab this linen thread and we're gonna split it in half, okay? So mine's tied in a knot here. Okay, so just take your linen thread, fold it in half, and give it a cut, okay? One piece for this project and one piece for our last project. And now your soft seafoam, you're going to wrap this is how you're gonna know how much you're gonna need. Wrap this around your white, the larger white rectangle. Give yourself enough to work with and give that a haircut. And this will be for another project, so set that aside, okay? And we're gonna tie this with the linen thread. But before we tie with our linen thread, I'm gonna bring my scratch paper back in here. And I'm going to grab a fresh freesia. Now you could use fresh freesia, you could use a light pink, you could use a light green. And we're going to change the color of our linen thread. I'm gonna use a Stampin' Blend here. This is the light of the fresh freesia, okay? And I'm using the marker end, and I'm going to just kind of grab my linen thread and give a pull, okay? Get it in there, and just change the color of your linen thread. Liz, is the trick to die cut the what is the trick to die cut the rectangles? They're stitched rectangles, sorry. If you don't have a kit, yes, they are stitched rectangles. They were provided in the kit. And if you're wondering what size those are, I will tell you in just a second. Let me just finish. So I usually do 2 swipes through on when I do that, okay? When I'm coloring my linen thread or ribbon or whatever you might be changing the color to. But look how cool that is. So now we have fresh freesia linen thread. And you can add more color if you want to make it even more intense. You can run it over. You could use a darker shade, whatever you'd like to do, but it's fun to color your linen thread. All right, so these rectangles, going back to these rectangles, these measure, for those of you who are wondering, this smaller rectangle, which you can emboss in anything, any style, is 2 5/8, so it's 2 5/8 wide by 4 inches tall. Okay, and then the next stitched rectangle is the next one up in size, and it measures 3 by 4 3/8 or 4 5/16, something like that. So, all right. You're having trouble die cutting yours in your machine. Okay, Kayleen, I use mine all the time. Make sure you have the right plates, obvious, you know that. But when you put the dies in, don't put them in like this and go straight across. Put them at an angle so that it grabs a corner and moves across rather than an entire, solid straight line at one time, okay? That's what I find works really handy on your stitched rectangles. The other thing that I would recommend is to cut your rectangle and then emboss. If you were to have embossed a piece of paper and then cut it down, you're going to lose part of your embossing, okay? All right, so just a few extra tidbits of information there. All right, so let's go back to assembling this beauty here. We're going to wrap our soft seafoam. Look how pretty this ribbon is. It is so, man, it's just pretty. And I actually took my fresh freesia and I colored some of this as well for another project, not here that we're doing today, but I thought, gosh, that's pretty. It takes on all kinds of colors and it's just pretty. Okay, so we're gonna tie this around. I'm feeling like I'm all thumbs right now. So we've done this tie many times, but I kind of like this look. So grab your linen thread and try to tie this. As you can see, I'm having issues. Okay, and I'm tying in a very odd way. Okay, at least I got it kind of moving in the right direction here. All right. Okay, so there we have it. Kayleen, have you tried die cutting? And have you found that going on a diagonal to be of any help? Okay, so just hanker down on that knot there, that original tie. Tie yourself a bow. Okay, and yeah, that's kind of goofy looking at the moment, but we'll make it look better. Give it a second. Style it. Okay. Okay, this end. Okay. Get it just how you want it. And then I like to pull these two apart because that will cinch that and get it nice and tight right on your paper there. And we're going to put it down at the bottom 2/3 there. And now I'm just going to give my ribbon here a trim, and I'm going to trim them both on an angle inward, create that fishtail look. And for my linen thread here, I'm going to hold both of the ends together and snip it off. Okay, so Kayleen is saying, yes, the diagonal seems better. My machine is so hard to turn with them. Huh. Are your plates like in cattywampus? Because I know sometimes mine are really hard to turn if I don't have the plates straight in the machine, and there's like if one's kind of cockeyed just a little bit. You think you need, okay, you need new flat plates. Okay, so you guys, I just ordered new plates the other day. I'm wondering how, my plates, I go through plates so fast, and I kid you not, mine get so curved I literally could eat a bowl of cereal out of them. They're so warped. I guess, you know, even though they're not broken, they're not really usable. Okay, so that fresh freesia marker does make the linen thread a little stiff. So I don't know if you just caught what I did, but I ran my fingernails across the edge of this linen thread. I just took it in between my thumb and my index fingernail and softened that so it's not quite so stiff. Okay, so my next layer, I'm going to glue this one on. Okay. Well, my glue is stuck. We do this every day, right? I literally do this every day. And I can't get my piercer out of the jar. Okay. I like this old paper piercer because it's not quite as thick as the Take Your Pick tool. Plus, I don't want glue on my Take Your Pick tool. But that's how I unclog my glue every day. The woes of not living in the Bay Area. Your glue dries up really fast here in Idaho. All right. Okay, here we go. So we're just going to center this one and sandwich that ribbon right in there, in between. And, you know, burnish that adhesive nice and flat. Okay. Now we're going to add this to our card base, and we're going to set this off to the right side. And I'm going to mount that on my card with dimensionals, okay? And I'm going to do like 5 in here. Okay? Should do the trick. And then we can have some fun mounting all of these extra pieces here. This is kind of the building, the setting of the stage for your focal point. And I like adding the focal point. That's my favorite part. And I see we have one piece here that we have not got ready yet. So we'll have to do that. So you can see that I mounted my card here, kind of crooked. So I'm going to see if I can shift it over real fast here. Just a little bit. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it over. But I've given myself a fairly even border on top, right, and bottom. And then I've got this extra space over here. So we have an asymmetrical lineup here. Okay, so I mentioned we have one more piece we need to die cut. Okay, so this is the widest piece of this paper here, the soft seafoam foil. The back is the pool party. We need that, and we're going to die cut the half circle. Okay, and this half circle has some really fun detail in it. Has, you know, all those little dots in there. I find it kind of cool. So I actually have this ladybug here, and I am going to try and capture that. So I am going to die cut myself one of these out of this piece of paper here. Okay, so you're going to need just one of these half circles for this project, but leave the die handy because we're going to be die cutting a whole bunch of them for our next project. I mean, a whole bunch. Okay. Save this. You can use it on another project later. Okay, so I wanted to show the detail of this die. What's really fun is it does have an embossed line around, but on the two sides, there are the dots, and they don't follow the entire arc. So Jolinda's wondering, why don't they go all the way around? I think it's a style decision. It's an artistic decision that I think it ties back to. No, I don't think it's weird. It's just a different choice that the artist, the designer, Rachel, that I spoke of at the beginning of our class here, when I was talking about how the dyes, the watercolor dyes, don't actually match up. It's abstract. It's her artistic approach and touch. It's her signature. So, and she designs the dyes. So whoever designs the suite, they also design the dyes. And so I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of a nice feature that it isn't all the way around, okay? And you'll also notice that it isn't a complete half circle. It's an oval, Okay. All right. If you put the two together. So keep that handy. We're going to be using it a lot. Now we have all of our pieces. So let's start with, and I am missing, and I know I had it earlier. Oh, it's still stuck in my bag. We do have one more piece you need, folks, and that is that tiny rectangle right here. That didn't make it out of the bag. We're going to need to stamp that, so keep that handy. So let's put 2 dimensionals on the back of this. 1 and 2. Jolinda, okay then. It's a preference, you know. If Jolinda designed it, she would want them all the way around, and I get that. You know, it's like finish it. Don't just start it, but finish it. But I think it was an artistic decision. All right, now for this piece here, I'm going to add this right at the bottom, but in the center there, okay? And I didn't quite get it centered. So luckily I haven't pushed down too hard. And I can wiggle that over. Yep, there we go, that looks good. Now let's take a look at our pieces here. So let's bring our scratch paper back in. And you're also gonna want like your take your pick tool and your seafoam green, okay? And I am going to set my die face down into the ink pad here. And I'm just gonna take my scratch paper and I'm just gonna kind of dab it to color. Ooh, that's kind of a cool, ooh, we got a new technique, folks. Look at that. Wasn't even paying attention. And then I like to use my take your pick tool to just kind of lift that out. Okay, clean your take your pick tool. And look at that, we've colored our paper. Okay, so no longer is it white, it's now green. All right, and this will lighten up over time as the inks kind of do that, right? Okay, so this is going to tuck into our piece, as well as this big guy. And we have these 2 pieces are gonna kind of come into here. Now, on my original, I stamped this and I totally ruined the top half. So I actually am gonna cut some of this off, okay? So one of these images, we're going to make it a little bit different. Hey, Kat, it's good to have you here. It's good to have everybody here. Everything seems to be stuck in this jar. The scissors opened and I couldn't get them out of the top. Okay, so I'm gonna make my own stamp here and I'm just gonna cut those top 2 leaves off, okay? We did a little bit of this a while ago where we were making our, in the teacup one, you know, make them your own. Who says they have to be exactly the way they cut them out? You can always add a little, cut a little away. But talking about adding a little, I am going to add a little wink of Stella to these. And what will happen is this ink, some of it will blend and move, some of it, you know, won't, but that's okay. We're just gonna color the white, blend that. If it moves a little, great. If not, not to worry. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing to my bee. This one's already done. I colored his wings for sure, and then moved a little bit of that ink around. And same thing with this one here. Okay, I'm just gonna draw this right up. Okay. Same thing here, a little bit here. And we've just, you know, done our usual. Wouldn't be a Seeing Ink Spots card if it didn't have a little wink of Stella, right? All right, so now let's start to assemble these pieces, okay? So I'm going to start with my main image here, okay? So, and I'm not gonna stick it down super, super tight, okay? I'm going to put dimensionals on the back. This is where you might want to have minis, okay? And, you know, some regulars would even work, like a regular right there. But some of these other spots might get a little tight, okay? So I'm gonna do one there, and another one. This one's actually gonna go flat. That one's gonna catch. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do those two because these other areas I'm going to glue down. So there's the back of that, okay? Because this one's gonna kind of go underneath and then this one's gonna pop up. Okay, and the other thing I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna peel that one just yet. That will allow me to get underneath it. So this is gonna go in towards the middle, okay? And we're gonna just set this in place right like there. So I'll be able to go in there and remove the glue dot, the cover of the Stampin' Dimensional right in there in just a second. But I wanna keep that free so that I can get my greenery here, which I'm gonna add a little glue to this center spot and a little to the stem. And I'm gonna tuck this. And as I put this under, I'm gonna hide this stem behind this leaf here because it's not gonna reach all the way down into the vase. Yet it would need to be in that vase because it would need a water source. Okay, now I can peel the back of this dimensional and stick it down. Okay, all right, there's that. And this actually came forward. This one here is going to tuck in and behind this leaf. So that one's gonna reach in and we're gonna glue it down behind that leaf right there, okay? So just a little bit of glue here. Going back to replacing the your plates, if you use them a lot, because I cut a lot for classes, I cut a lot of dies and things, mine warp really, really quick. But it's frustrating when something that we use goes out on us. It's like, man, that's just a huge bummer. I say that because I had to go buy a new refrigerator last night. Mine has had problems for several months and I've just been limping along. But yeah, 2 days ago, it just poured water all over the floor. I'm like, I do not know what is wrong with this. But it wasn't in good shape when we moved in. So, okay, so this one, I've got my dimensional right in there, but this one's gonna tuck right down into there. Whoops, it's getting caught up on something. So that's why some of it's glued and some of it is dimensionaled, okay? And then this one here is going to tuck right in like that. So I'm gonna put that on with a dimensional. I'm gonna do one dimensional, and then I'm gonna do a little glue on the bottom. Yes, so I had to buy a new refrigerator, but at least I get the kind that I like. And it's back to what I had in San Jose. So it's a French door with a pull-out bottom freezer. The one I have a side-by-side right now, and I can't stand it. You can't fit anything. You like anything wide won't fit in the freezer or the fridge. Anyhow, okay, a reminder when working with foil, less glue is better because it's a little tricky to clean it up, okay? And so that one's just going to set right in there and you've just made yourself a nice composition of elements there. And then if you want to add 1 bee or 2 bees, in my original I have 1 bee. But you could use another one on the inside. I didn't decorate the inside of this card. I don't know what I was thinking, but so I'm just gonna tuck this little bee right down in here. I like this one, the way the composition fell together better than this one, better than my original. All right, one last touch for this is to add the greeting. And the greeting for this, I put today is a day to remember. And this is a good inside greeting, but who says you can't use it on the front? So I'm gonna stamp that. This is fresh freesia. This is from the Stitched Rectangles, okay? And it's the smallest die in the set. I love this little dude. And I'm inking this up in fresh freesia, and I'm just gonna stamp it right in the center and hope that I'm straight. Ooh, pretty good, pretty good. Looking good, looking good. So that's all the stamping for the greeting. Okay, I'm gonna bring my camera this way a little bit. There we go. And this is gonna go on with part dimensionals and part double stacked dimensionals. So on the end that says, on the to end, okay, today, you're gonna put 2, okay? Actually move it in just a little bit, right about there. And you're gonna double stack this, okay? So that is Big Mac, 2 patties, and then we'll do a single and a single, because this is going to layer on top of the vase, or the bowl, really. And just go right over your, and I'm gonna scooch this up just a little bit higher, if I can. Maybe twist, maybe I'll twist the bow this way, okay? I'm gonna twist it a little bit more. Oh, there we go. My original, it's kind of right up and it's a vertical. So we'll kind of keep this right in here. And that will, and I covered up my bee. Oh well. And that's gonna go right in like so. And I kind of crinkled my linen thread, but that's okay. And there you have it. There is our first beautiful, splendid thoughts card. I think this is a really pretty composition, okay? It's just kind of learning, you know, getting used to the stamps and then, you know, getting a good feel for them and putting them together in kind of, I think they originally intended this to be a vase. Now for our next card, it's not gonna be a vase. We're gonna use it to make a background. And I absolutely love the colors in this card here. And so when you go to your kit packet, okay, so if you grab your entire kit packet, grab everything. You got this big white, but under that, there's a piece of Pool Party. So we're gonna grab from Pool Party up, okay? From Pool Party up, these are gonna be the pieces we need for our card. And we're also going to need some of the cuts that we made earlier. So these 2 pieces that are 1 1/8 wide, okay? That is going to be used on this card. Kat, thank you for your comment. That's really sweet of you to say it's a lovely card. It is pretty, and if you've made yours, it's really, really pretty in person. Even prettier, right? Okay, we're also going to need these 2 pieces here. We're going to be using these to be cutting out some, to be cutting out some different pieces here. So we're gonna be using this one, and I have not pre-cut mine just yet, so it's gonna take us a little while, but I'll show you how we can do it just a little bit faster. And do they need to be the exact pieces that I have? No, they can be, you know, just use these pieces and what you end up with is great. I will say I'm gonna take these 2 pieces of the seafoam and I'm gonna hold them face up and I'm gonna hold them together and I'm gonna die cut 2 at a time, okay? Face up, all right? 2 at a time, face up. But I'm not gonna do that the whole time. I'm only gonna do 1 like that for now, okay? 2 at a time, just to kind of speed this along a little bit. And I find that you can cut open images. You can cut 2 pieces of cardstock at a time. If it's a more detailed image like these leaves, that's harder, okay? So here we have 2, okay? So there's 1 there, there's 1 there. Like I say, we don't have to be exactly the same. Now, this time I'm gonna take 1 out and I'm gonna turn it over and I'm gonna die cut a Pool Party one. I need a full of the Pool Party leaves, okay? So I'm gonna do a full one. This is a single layer this time. And the reason I flipped the paper over is because we want the die cut dots to be on the right side, okay? We want that detail on the front of the paper, not the back of the paper. Okay? So there's that one. Now I have this piece right here and I'm like, man, I want to use that. And so I didn't care because I was cutting them off the sides. So I actually have a couple of those. So I'm going to turn this again so I can get as much out of it as I can. And I'm going to cut that one, okay? So you can see, yes, it doesn't fit the whole thing, but this will be enough for finishing my background on my card. Okay, now if you're wondering, at the very beginning, if you came on late, we pre-cut some of our designer series paper. And so these strips that we are working with are 1 1/8 inch wide. Okay. So now we have one of these right there, right? So we're moving. Let's go back to this piece. Okay. I want another full one of this. Okay. So I'm going to cut another full. Are you there? Oops is right. So something is going on with the cell tower here in Star. I'm getting text messages like 4 and 5 days late. Okay, sorry about that. It's not me. It is the, like I was trying to say, the cell tower in Star is having major issues. I'm getting text messages way late. It's driving me crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing and we're gonna cut some more out. I'm gonna continue just using these pieces here. And I do actually have one of these that are, I do have a soft sea foam. So we need